All right, we're looking at the identity packages in the discussion. This is the Thursday edition of the discussion critique, sorry. Bryant, you did Bermuda T. So there's your final logo and color palette. This is your assigned color. The palette you've picked seems to work well. It's got variation in both hue and value. So you got a dark and a light and all that. Your logo, right away I'm thinking Tampa Bay. It's going to be hard to see this stuff, this separation with these tiny strokes in here. You haven't quite configured this in a great way that would stand out as a logo. Do you see what I'm saying, Brian?
Yes.
I don't really know how to direct you because you're using a Bermuda Triangle and then just the initials. It's supposed to be a very English traditional kind of T in a way. So this brushy script lettering doesn't really fit to me, but if you were going to use this, the type would be much bigger compared to the icon. And you've got to figure out a way to arrange, if you're going to use the letters, use them so that they're separated and you can see them. So I'm not quite sure how I would do that. You got any thoughts, Sabrina?
I mean, I think he was, in the Bermuda, I'm just thinking of like the Tommy Bahama t-shirts and stuff like that. I think he was going more for that kind of rough look, but you just kind of want the look to match. And so you always have to kind of go back to the creative brief and, sometimes that'll help narrow things down for you.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that the logo you've got right now, when you shrink it down, put it on a business card and all that, it's not going to be very legible. So that's what you got to solve that problem.
Right.
Next up, David, Tupe Mate T with the Lotus. You're using gradients. So this is a nice icon for this product. It's South America. The lotus flower makes me feel more Asian, but it's okay. I would say that these strokes in here would have to be either much bigger or go away, because when it shrinks down, they're going to disappear anyway. And your gradient, gradients are a lot of fun. Maybe it goes from orange to a color instead of to white, and see what that does for you.
Okay.
This is your palette. So your palette is good. It's very vibrant and has some pretty good variety. The value, the light and darkness are kind of close. The yellow's pretty light. And you're using the orange with the gradient to white, so it's kind of lighter than it normally would be.
Okay.
So just all I'm asking you to do is just sort of think about value, light and dark, as you work on this. Okay. And, like maybe this blue becomes like a nice rich purple kind of color, and that would go complementary to the yellow. And you're off to a good start. Sorry, I can easily say that.
I kind of felt like the blue was clashing a lot.
Yeah, the blue feels a little off in this palette, but so for your business card, you're using sort of as a secondary element some just geometric shapes like rectangles. I would consider creating something a little more branded as a secondary element. You could take, for instance, one of the petals of this and turn it into some sort of pattern, like a low contrast pattern that could go behind things and stuff, and it would give it a little more sort of flavor.
Okay.
I'm not in love with the type configuration. It looks great when it's big, but as you found out, you get down here and it's really hard to read. It starts to become really hard to read. So that's why I would kind of separate it more. And you can give it some hierarchy. Say Tupe Mate is the brand, so that's real big, and T smaller.
Okay, underneath?
Yeah, it could go underneath.
Okay.
The way your flower is set up, it's got the point down to the bottom, so it makes it hard to configure the type underneath.
Could
He can remove that petal maybe.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Just get rid of it.
okay. And then the other two that come down on the sides, could I stamp the T on top of it?
I wouldn't give it too much. You're kind of making life difficult for yourself.
Okay.
I would experiment with taking them out and see how that looks without these three bottom ones.
Okay.
I think it would still work nicely if you picked up sort of the curved shape of the. Oops, here we go. If you pick up the curved shape here of the bottom, I think that's really nice.
And then just bring the sun up to these petals and take everything else out below.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would enlarge the size of the sun because it's so close. It's just causing just a little bit of visual tension in some areas. So just making it a little bit more generous, I think, makes it feel more purposeful. And then just place the text underneath.
Okay.
And now you have that, that line.
Oops. Go back. Oh, really? Okay. Sorry. You're off to a good start, David.
Okay.
All right. Who else is here? Andrew. Andrew, you did an awesome job. I just have a couple comments for you. So you ended
Okay.
up in this amazing place. You've given the skull, as I talked to you about, a little more personality, attitude. So that's kind of cool. Your color palette is nice. I'll just say this, everything looks really great. The one thing that bugs me is the stroke on the type.
Okay.
And just when you see it here, it sort of obliterates I would just make it gold type.
The
It's a
whole
gold
thing?
fill, yeah. I would try that and see how that works. It'll be much more visible. Hierarchy wise, you could have Osiris big and Coffee small. It's working the way you've got it, but that's just one suggestion. But
Okay, I can mess around with that.
so there's your identity package. The color is functioning really well to tie it all together. See how the type is, if this was just gold,
Yeah.
it would be much better.
Okay.
Your envelope is too dark. This would be too dark to print on. And I think you have this lighter yellow. You maybe could use that. I'm sorry, Sabrina, you have thoughts on this?
I would use the tint of that yellow, kind of like, where the lighter color that you see in the gradient of the mask
Yeah.
or the envelope. I would try to make that as light as possible on the envelope.
Okay, I can try that out.
Now, typically a straight border to me is like, oh, snooze-a-rama, but you gave this little chamfered edges that make me feel like the pyramid. It's sort of geometric. I don't know. It sort of works to me. What do you think, Sabrina?
It did, yeah. I thought it was creative because of the angled edges, like you said, the mitered. I don't know about the ink twice, though. I'm kind of iffy on that. It's kind of detracting a little bit from the logo itself because of the scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's giving us angst. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Dad jokes.
I'm wondering
I don't think you need it.
if they were scaled down where that crossbar lined up with the border, if it would work, because then the scale would be smaller, or if they should
Oh,
just
the crossbar. Yeah, I would just take them out. They're like another symbol, and you've got your symbol. You want your symbol to be the hero.
Okay, I
It's
can
like
take them out.
they're like the backup singers that are trying to upstage you. You could do something interesting with the rule, I don't know.
Making it go through, yeah.
Or it could go behind it. I don't know. You're off to a great start with that, so it's more finessing at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So branded look coming together. This is a different font than your. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to go with a more clear font. Does all of it need to be the same? I made sure that like
No, what you've done is good.
Okay.
I feel like the website's too big, but you're sort of balancing something there. But this is interesting too. This little, you can
That's
leave the
the
back of the envelope the same and just add a cream of that yellow, just sort of like light cream.
okay.
You could do that on the paper stock here too. Try that.
Oh, I make the paper like the same
Yeah.
kind of tint.
So it's all kind of a creamy yellow,
That'd be cool.
like
I'll try
cream
that.
in your coffee.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice job, man. This is good. All right.
Thank you.
We did David, Bryant, Andrew, Stephanie. Stephanie, we just I just gave you some feedback. Do you have anything, or are you just here to observe?
She said that she posted, so maybe we just need to press refresh. Oh no, she's here to observe and questions.
Yeah, because I was giving her feedback on Slack and stuff. So,
Oh, okay.
all right. Excuse me. Daniel, no work. I don't see any work posted. So we got to see your work to give you feedback. Cheryl, Peace Cookies, you're struggling with Illustrator. You didn't do this correctly. I'm guessing that you didn't watch the video on how to do this. So try to watch the video so that you can do this properly. It looks like you're making a lot more work for yourself. You're like pasting in squares on top of the squares, the rectangles that are there. Same thing here. This is like not done properly. You've pasted on top, and it looks like you're trying to type, adding text on top of the placeholder text that's there for you. So it's a lot easier than you're making it out to be. So this would be your assigned color, and it wouldn't be PMS 0488, which is not a PMS number. It's 2725. And then you would do the CMYK equivalent of that and the RGB equivalent of that. This is kind of a mixed up, jumbled mess. So watch the video. It shows you how to do it, and it's easier than what you're doing now. Megan, Olympic Coffee. There's your logo. Business card. Letterhead. All right, so your logo is wonderful configuration, nice looking, not enough contrast. Yellow doesn't work over white, so you have to come up with a strategy for how to make that work for you. Everything is good craftsman wise about this, but I would introduce some other colors maybe. Obviously, when you put it over in the blue, it stands out really nicely. So you'd have to come up with a different, maybe there's blue type here. And I don't know, I just feel like some of these, the definition in here could be darker. What do you think, Sabrina?
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of continuity, how the wings are outlined. And I think my eye is kind of almost wanting the mug and
Yeah.
paper to have the same feel. I'd like to see how that looks.
Yes, I agree. So when it came to business cards, you're like super utilitarian. You've got with a double rule. This is what they call a Scotch rule. Isn't that what that's called? And a couple coffee splotches, envelope. So inspiration, you need to have something a little more inspiring. Just off the top of my head, you know, you've got a coffee cup with wings. Maybe this is like a sky image or something.
And her sketches included more motifs that she could reference back to.
Yeah, you have the whole ancient Greek culture to draw from. There's a few things there. So get inspired and ditch the rule. This is just sort of, this is like, I don't know what to do, so I'm putting something in.
So just on a completely different side note, Owen Jones, Grammar of Ornament, which is a really great classic book from the 1800s, in which he went and excavated all these sites and actually drew like from Egypt and what have you. It's totally free on the Smithsonian now. So like it's a really great reference material for history if anybody's
It's called Owen Jones.
Owen Jones, Grammar of Ornament. The Grammar of Ornament, I would, yeah.
Grammar of Ornament. Oh, I love that title.
Yeah, so you can see they have the books, but you can actually, they have the whole thing for free. I can get you the link sometime if you're interested.
This looks like
Yeah, the complete copyright of the book is expired. So you can, I'll give you the link sometime. I have it.
yeah, fascinating, wonderful stuff.
It's great for research of,
Yeah,
different cultures and history, because it's all, copied and it's all referenced. Like, this is from this temple and this is from this. And so.
yeah. That's why you were laughing at me when I said Scotch roll, because there's more.
Well, at the previous college, I one of the classes I taught was the history of interior design. So,
Oh,
um,
wow, that must have been fun.
yeah, so I enjoy history and motifs and things like that. So,
Yeah, me too. All right, Stephanie, mint soap. We've got a mint leaf on a cloud or bubbles. There's the black and white version. Here's the color version. So I think this is your assigned color here in the mint leaf. This looks like an RGB green. It's not quite right. You need to create a color palette that has some contrast and value. These, which I thought were soap bubbles, now they're sort of a caramel color, which is a little disturbing for soap bubbles. If they're white and you've got this green stroke, maybe the stroke becomes more prominent and it's white with a blue or something. This fluorescent, RGB green is not right. It doesn't look right. I understand putting a stroke on the type because you want it to contrast with the white background. So that's a good instinct. This color is not much better. And if you're going to outline type, there's a specific way to do it so it doesn't bite into the type. It looks like maybe it's okay the way you did it, but I would make it much thicker and a darker color.
I think the relationship of image to type is a little bit disproportionate because
Yeah,
it creates a very long logo, and the application of most logos is in horizontal bands. So most logos should fit inside like a general square to like a horizontal rectangle, and this
right.
is definitely more vertical. So possibly, you can scale those bubbles down and bring them, just so, because my eye is seeing it as two groups instead of like one in terms of the imagery.
Yeah, I would pull these bubbles in and make them look like real bubbles. See here, they got a little highlight on them. It seems like it's stretched. Pull them in tighter and figure out what bubbles look like. They're probably in the blue to white category, and you could do a stroke that's like a darker blue maybe. And I wouldn't use this orange color for soap. I mean,
Yeah,
for
maybe
this.
more of an analogous scheme would work.
Yeah. All right. Andrew, awesome work. Look, he even did the inside of his envelope. All right. Shade, Kuko's Chips. You've ended up with a logo that's kind of working, but the type is illegible. You need to have, I would pull these two items together more and make the type much bigger, and then you wouldn't have to actually say it again there. You're not really using a secondary element. You just have a border that's in a sort of brown color. So this is the plantain chips that make you think of vacation and, fun and the beach. And so how about some of that?
So
Maybe there's a,
this is the thing is, I don't think some of the students know that they need to go and review the discussion posts. So we give them feedback, but then I don't see things change.
mm-hmm.
So, because obviously this is almost identical to the sketch, and we addressed some of these issues about, the logo lockup with the text and, all of that. So then, when they don't watch the archive, then they, continue down that faulty path. And they put a lot of work into it, But
Yes.
yeah, this is much more of a vertical logo again, and not, it's not going to work as you scale it down and need it in different, apply it in different purposes.
Yeah, I take that into account when I'm grading, whether they followed the discussion.
So I think like if there maybe something fun that the student could do to not have to start from scratch is possibly make half the line look like a plantain chip, and then keep the other half of the line with the, the sectional breaking that it has, and then just eliminate the Pringle looking things and then work on the text.
Yeah, right.
So that could work in terms of scale and, simplicity, and then really just tie it all in.
Yeah. All right. So that's all we got there.
That's it?
Yeah. 2.
Oh.
Samantha, Green Mountain Maple Candy. This is a little hard to see. Okay, so you've got the whole logo into a circle. The type, if you could read that, it's kind of amazing. I can't read any of the type at all. The color palette is good. It feels like maple syrup and mint green. So you've got a good palette sort of set up for yourself. But now you want to think about, first of all, make sure that the logo type is legible so you can see the name of the company. And then, like I like this pale green paper, make it pale green over here too. These tree elements are an interesting start, but you got to turn them into something that you could use as a secondary element. And don't leave this the default. This is like you just put the logo into the Illustrator file without a background, and then when you bring it into Photoshop, it just places the logo there on the default background. So create something for that. All right, Enrico, this is Big Easy Cookies. So your logo is a cookie with a bite out of it. The logo type, the proportions are really kind of odd, like big is gigantic and easy cookies is tiny and illegible. The real name of the company you think about is Big Easy, and then cookies could be smaller. But right now it just sort of reads as big. There's a lot of craftsmanship issues here with this squished and proportions strange. Your logo should sort of be prominent in the upper left. You didn't do anything with the background here. Your color palette, what I see being used, I'm not sure what the American flag has to do with anything. There's a lot of dark colors. So you need to have variety in value as well.
The idea of being made in America, I think makes sense for, general commodities, but for food, that's not really something, you know what I mean? That's, you see.
Yeah, unless you were in a foreign country, then being made in America would be a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, also, but the use of American flag is almost like a logo unto itself, and you're using it quite large in competition with your logo. So
right.
Focal point is key. Yeah, so you got sort of a little bit of the Mardi Gras colors, which I can't think of right now, but You got some work to do. Clean up the logo and then craftsmanship on all these items. All right, that's it. That's all we got.
All right.
Any questions or comments from present company?
Yeah, so it's Bryant.
Yes.
With my logo, I have another one that I also liked. It was the iris flower, which you and
Yes.
Woods had recommended combining it with the triangle for the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
Would you think that might be a better thing to work with than the overlaying B and T letters?
Yes.
For clarity purposes.
Yeah, try that. When you get something together on that, ping me on Slack with it. You know how to do that?
Yes, I think I joined the Slack class for the first thing of the week, and then I should just be able to tag you in it when I post, correct?
Yeah, whenever you want to get somebody's attention, here, I'll just show you on Slack. If you type the @ symbol and then their name, they come right up.
Okay, I should be able to have something posted in Slack by the end of the night.
All right, cool. So if you do that at Peter Olson, I'll get a message. I have it on my phone as well, so I get a message and I can come take a look and give you some feedback.
Okay, thank you.
See, Stephanie's making good use of it. All right.
And the other thing is, you know, you can also like get feedback from peers and other people who've already taken the class and what have you.
Yes. It's a
Okay.
great tool we're using right now. So,
Awesome, thank you.
all right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing more work. That's great stuff we saw from some people today.
Okay, I did have a couple of questions. I actually posted, I don't know why it wasn't popping up.